All right, guys, we are live here in Greensboro. I'm on Battleground Avenue at our Omega Sports neighborhood sports store. I am Dell with Omega Sports. This is the Omega Sports Show coming to you live on Facebook and YouTube. And I am here with Kimberly Hall.
Hi guys.
Say
How
hello
are you?
Afternoon. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Kimberly, you are making your debut at Omega Sports. Not so much as far as sharing your story, but you're making a debut with your fantastic greeting cards that are now in our stores.
I am. I'm super excited just because these cards give hope, love, and courage. And what better way to share it with people who love sports? So.
Absolutely. So you're a runner, which we'll talk about, and
Yes.
you are inspired to inspire other runners. You are the chief inspirer of Soul Inspired.
Yes, I am. I've been running now since 2008. So it's just like, that's my thing. I love to run. So,
Yeah. So you came from Charlotte today. You came all the way over to Greensboro to meet with the team, talk about this fantastic brand called Soul Inspired, get the card set up. You know, I think I actually saw you sell some to a customer.
Yes,
Yeah, like we like those kind of brands. You're in the store and the customer says, "What's this?" And you made, and I think she bought a couple, right?
Yeah, she did. She bought So Freaking Proud of You.
Yeah.
And she bought a birthday card. So that was nice. That was
so
really
these aren't
nice.
your typical. I mean, I heard you say birthday card, but these aren't your typical greeting cards. This is
No.
really inspired around the running community, which you love, of course.
Yes, and actually, I would go a little bit further and not say just running, but people who love to move.
I love that.
So if you're into health and fitness, if you're into running, hitting the pavement, there's a triathlon card over there as well. But it's not your typical Hallmark card. It's more like with a little bit of grit, determination, and a little bit of fight. So, you know, it says "So freaking proud of you," and not just "Hey, I'm proud of you." So it's just the things that you would probably normally say to someone that you love or you're trying to encourage or inspire. So,
well, when we got a chance to hear your story, obviously I said you're not new to sharing your story, which we'll talk a little bit more about later in the show. You've been on our Women's Only podcast with Cleo Fawcett, which, by the way, if you hear her, she's somewhere back there. She's working with customers. You can't stop her. She's out there working with customers, helping them. But she was able to bring you onto the show. You shared a great story. We got to learn about Soul Inspired. And I remember calling Cleo and sending you an email saying, I love this story. I love Kimberly's story. I love her passion. I love her entrepreneurship. And the fact that you really carved out a very unique space for yourself in the greeting card world. Even if I don't even know if we should even call it a greeting card. It really is this positive messaging that you are able to empower people with. So if you come into Omega Sports, you're able to now say, hey, I want to get my run buddy a card. I want to send a message or some positivity or some support to someone who just ran their first half marathon. You're going to find that with Soul Inspired.
yes, you will. And for the people that you love and that actually join the pavement with you, you can actually get them a card too. So we have like Soul Sister, which basically say the people who get up in the morning with you, get on the pavement. And, you know, sometimes your running buddy isn't just your running buddy.
That's
They're
right.
your coach, your therapist.
Yeah.
They're all the things that you need in one. And so that's what these cards do. They speak to a lot of different people.
Yeah, I think the people I run with are like the police. They hold me accountable. They make sure I hit my marks. They don't let up. I think that's also important. Maybe I'll get them a card too. Maybe I'll get them a card
we
too.
love those people too.
Well, Kimberly, we've got a lot to talk about because you've got a great story I want to share. And of course, you are going to be in our store. So I really want our Omega customer base out there to get very familiar with you because we hope for some other things to happen with you in the future as well. But before we do, it is 4th of July weekend. Do you have any big 4th of July plans?
Actually, not really. I'm going out of town.
Okay.
I'm going to Destin on Sunday.
Nice.
So I'll be in Florida for a couple of days, just hanging out on the beach. So
That sounds like a very good plan. I don't know about
it's
you.
relaxing.
I thought you were going to say you're going to be on the couch, relaxing. No, not the chief inspirer. She's out there getting more inspiration, getting the sun rays on the beach, right?
Yeah.
So we have a great deal happening right now at Omega Sports. I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to my homies, Craig and Kristen Carlock, who are going to tell you about what to expect for 4th of July.
Hello everybody, this is Craig and Kristen Carlock at Omega Sports. We want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July.
We love this holiday and we want to be so appreciative of the people who have allowed us to have these freedoms in this country.
As you're celebrating the 4th, we invite you to take advantage of our 4 for 4th offers. Check your emails, there's some great offers that are available in stores and online.
So stay active.
All right. Well, of course, that was Kristen and Craig Carlock, our owners, just wishing everyone a great, safe 4th of July. I will go ahead and just explain what they were saying. We have up to $50 in savings. It is our 4 for 4th offer that's happening. So you may have gotten your emails from us in the past with one great offer. You may have gotten maybe 2. Hey, in Father's Day, we did like 3 offers. Well, for 4th of July, we decided to add another, and we went 4 for 4th. So there are deals as low as 15 off of 60, all the way to $50 off of 160. Make sure you check your emails today, starting today, and it'll go all the way until the 6th. There's some great deals. So if you're a runner, if you are staying active and you're moving, or you know someone that's moving, definitely make sure that you're checking your emails so that you can take advantage of our 4 for 4th offers that are happening. Those are our mega flex offers. We've thought of every budget that's out there. We want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to move more this summer. So why not kick off the summer with great new apparel, great new shoes and footwear, great recovery, lots of fun things. And then, hey, if you're going to the beach like Miss Chief Inspirer here, you can get a beach bag, you could get a sports umbrella. I mean, we've got some fun things for you. And of course, you can always pick up a brand new set of fantastic cards, because I have learned that you can never have too many greeting cards.
You can't. And actually, don't forget, you can get some Gooder glasses too. That's what I got for the beach.
Look, we know, everyone out there that's watching knows that Gooder is the brand that everyone's talking about. Runners love them. I was at obviously you guys on Instagram saw that we were at a tournament over the last week. Our state league championships for 40 and over. We were there in Durham, sweating it out and going in and out of the rain with a bunch of USTA players, because we are the official sports store of USTA North Carolina. And man, they could not get enough of Gooders. We actually had to keep bringing more Gooders out. So good shout out.
Yeah, I love those.
All right, well, let's talk about your story. Now, let's tell everyone kind of how you got into running, because you've been doing it for a while, but you didn't actually start early in life.
No, I didn't. Actually, I started, it was maybe a little bit after 2008, 2009. My son was actually headed off to college, and I wanted to, spend my time doing some things for me, because I had spent a lot of time just focusing on him, soccer, school.
A lot of people out there can relate. Yeah.
And I had, I just gone through, just quite a transition in my life where, unfortunately, in 2001, I lost my husband in a airplane crash. He was a Navy pilot, and actually he is from Pleasant Garden. He was from Pleasant Garden, which is right outside of Greensboro. And so I spent a lot of time scrapbooking, got into paper, and just really just tracking and just remembering our story through paper. Yeah. And when my son went off to college, I was like, okay, so now I need to find something for me, because I'd been, just putting myself into, my son. And so I saw someone in the YMCA who had on this Try It for Life shirt, and it talked about, I asked, hey, what is this? And they said they teach women how to do triathlons. And I said, I've never played sports. I was always, just a little bit, had self-confidence
It's
issues.
so hard to believe that if you meet Kimberly today, or if you go on, we're going to check out your Instagram in a second, but it's so hard to believe that, but go on.
So I reached out to this group, and I did my first triathlon in 2010. And it was, it was one where you swim in the pool and you bike, and then it was like a 2-mile run. So it was a super sprint, and the run was my favorite part. And so I just really got into running after that. I was just like, I love the feeling, how it made me feel, knowing what my body can do. And I just really surprised myself, And so running became my thing, and it wasn't just, physical, but more emotional too, because when you're out on the pavement, you get to really do a lot of thinking, and, it could be your time alone. So it's really not just,
which a lot of people don't always get.
Yeah.
In busy day lives, parenting, work, profession, all that. People, that mental recovery time, that space that you give yourself is really important.
Yeah. So that's how I got into running. That became my love, my thing to do. So
Yeah. Well, Kimberly, you didn't just get into running. You put a challenge out to yourself. And what if I get it, correct me if I get it wrong. It's you wanted to run 50 half or full marathons by the time you turn 50.
yes.
And let's just remind people, I don't want to like put you out there, but you didn't start when you were 20.
No, I didn't.
Right? So that's a hefty goal for anyone.
Yeah, so I was 40 when I started, and I mapped it out. And so first it was a little daunting, but I'm always up for a task, right? So I love challenges, and so I just kind of mapped out how many races I would do a year. And so it started out with a couple, and then the next thing the next year may have been 3 or 4, and then I turned them into runcations where I would travel for them. And
went to Jamaica and ran.
Went to Jamaica, went to the Bahamas.
That's how you do it.
And then my 50th was actually in Paris.
Wow,
so,
that's right. I remember you telling us.
Yeah, so that was like my big one. So
So for folks that are out there that maybe where you were, maybe they didn't have. I know we've said it in some of the posts. I know when we talked to you on the podcast, we talked about this was really forged out of adversity, right? Like you kind of came up with this inspirational brand really just out of some of the adversity that you were able to overcome. But for those that are out there that maybe didn't have that side of things, they really just kind of want to start to take care of themselves. They want to do something for themselves. Give them some words of encouragement, Miss Chief Inspirer.
So I think the thing that really got to me is, I think we live in a world where sometimes we look on social media or we look at other people and we don't realize what it took for them to get there.
That's right.
Right? Or we compare ourselves, how did they, run a marathon? Well, they started somewhere. And so I think when you're looking to carve out something for yourself, you have to give yourself grace and start small.
Right.
So you can't just say, I want to jump out there and do a marathon. You might say, hey, I want to start just by running a mile or run walking. Or you might say, I might have a goal of a 5K. Or if it's not running, if it's just getting out to move, you may start with walking, or you may start with something you love like kickboxing, or just something that gets you moving. And when you focus on why you're doing it and not what other people are doing, then it makes your journey that much better.
Right.
Because you're doing it for yourself and not for somebody else, or not to be like somebody else, but you have your own desire of what you want to do. And so that's kind of how like my cards are, because I'm just like, everybody's journey is different. So I have cards for the back of the packers who don't care about what time they finish a race. They just want to finish. And that is an accomplishment in itself, because there are people that are lapping on the couch. So it's just, it's about celebrating the wins, whether they're small, medium, or big wins. So it's just, it's just that you just always have to just give yourself grace and be kind to yourself. That's one thing I've always, sometimes we're harder on ourselves.
Right.
We have these expectations of what we want, and sometimes it's just so big that we can't put it into small parts to actually make it happen. But when you break it down and you write it down and you start to like chip away, you get excited. Like my 50, it's 10 years, but I was just like, I can do this.
Yeah.
And as the years kept going, I was just like, make them fun.
Yeah. And then you get enthusiastic about it. And then there's a community of runners that you start to have good fellowship with. And those, I'm sure, not only did you find inspiration within yourself, but I'm sure you found inspiration with all your fellow runners that were
Oh my gosh, yes. Like that is what motivated me some days, like just encouragement that they would give and just say, hey, we can do this.
Yeah.
Or Kim, you don't know this, but you inspire me. When people tell you that, you're just like, people are always looking. And so that's one thing you always have to remember, is because sometimes you feel like you're not doing enough or, whatever, but people are looking at your progress and they're like cheering you on. And, that makes you even want to, like, hey, let's just get out there. So,
Well, Kimberly, what I want to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and pull up your Instagram, because what I love is that people certainly do follow runners on Instagram. And of course, you've got your page here, Soul Inspired Inc. or INC. So you can follow Kimberly's brand, Soul Inspired, on Instagram. And of course, it's filled with both customers, family, friends, everyone that's really just taken to the brand, but it's positive, and people are sharing great stories, and they're talking about like maybe what the inspiration of the card was or who they gave it to, which I love. But what you said is really important early on, that whole scrapbooking, it's taking that moment on Instagram where you get to follow someone and kind of, give them a like or, give them a thumbs up. It's really now taking it even more personal and actually mailing them something or dropping it in their box or sliding it over, maybe the desk next to you.
Yes. And so you're right, because some people call it snail mail. Yeah. And I believe snail mail.
It's okay to slow down sometimes in your life. Yeah.
It is not dead. But some people do like the break of, having something that they can hold, that they can touch, and not just a text message that said, congratulations on completing your half marathon. Because that is actually going to, go up your feed or, possibly get deleted.
Right.
But when you give someone a card, it's something that they can actually hold on to, that they can keep. And it shows that, guess what? So here's the other interesting thing about cards. Not only is the person that getting it that gets the card going to be excited, they're going to think about what it took for you to spend the time to pick out a card. And that's something that we forget sometimes, that warm and fuzzy feel that I get when I give you a card that says, I thought about you.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think cards is twofold, right? It shows someone how much you care about them.
For all the fellows out there, all the spouses, I just shared this with Kimberly earlier before the show. I know the importance of a card because if my wife is watching, she has had plenty of fantastic, wonderful gifts. I don't care if it's a new car. I don't care what it is. She'll say, where's the card? Did you forget the card?
I know.
Did you forget the card? So there is something very special about taking the effort to just have that one little extra message.
Yeah.
And then I love the fact that it's, most people only get cards on their birthday, maybe during the holiday, but not generally maybe a get well.
Right.
But most people aren't getting cards for things that are truly important to them.
Right.
And running a marathon, a half marathon, or even just a 5K, or just making it through a whole month of Run Club.
Right.
No one's really celebrating those moments.
Right.
So I love that you're thinking about that.
Yeah, I am. I mean, because those are all big moments, right? So even though some people may think, this isn't a big deal, but when they get it, they're like, this is a big deal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So let's talk about the array of cards that you have here, because again, you put a lot of thought in this. You have both, I'm sure from moments that are inspired that happen to you, friends and family. And then I know that you also ask for feedback as well. You want to have like two-way communication. I know you've told our staff here, if people come in, they say, hey, I'd like to have this card. Granted, we don't have every single card you have in our stores, but there's ways to bring those in, or perhaps there's an opportunity for you to kind of get inspired by a suggestion.
Yes. So one of the things that I like to listen to, and a lot of the cards are inspired by something that I felt like at one point in given time, whether it's during a race or whether I don't want to go train or whether, I'm like, I'm injured. So as an example, this one that says difficult roads often lead to beautiful finish lines. So inside it says, don't let your setback define you. You have everything in you to meet your goals. I believe in you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have those moments, right, where you think, you've had this setback. You might have to pivot or do something different. And you don't want to think that it's over. Right? You want, if someone says, you know what, I believe in you, you can still do this. And so this could be generic, but when I buy it, of course, the roads, I thought about like getting injured when you've been like training for a race and your big day is coming up, or COVID.
Yeah.
You put all this training in and then your race is canceled and you're like, it's over. Yeah. It's really not over, right? It's always, you always have that second and third chance, or, so it's just like how do I say this? So one of the things that I struggle with sometimes with habits is, and I don't know if this is for you, I have to keep the streak going. So I don't want to break the habit.
Absolutely. Yep.
And if I do break the habit,
That
guess what?
repetitive behavior. Yeah.
So if I do break the habit, I just make sure it's not breaking it 2 days in a row, because what happens is when you break the habit, you think, oh, it's done. It's over, you know. So
you give yourself a little bit more time, a little bit. Yeah.
Right. So you can just continue to, keep going. And so when I think about some of the cards that I've done, that's kind of the mentality that I had. Don't give up. So another one. This is one of my favorite ones that actually I thought about.
I like that one.
During, I actually scrapbooked all of my races. And on my first marathon, I have a page with a fuel tank just like this, where I started on full at the beginning of the race. And by mile 22, I was like, what was I thinking? Just like, it's like, you go through all those range of emotions. And so this card was actually based on how I felt, because you started full, and then once you get to empty, it's like you really are running on fumes. And it says, when you're running on fumes, remember your reserve is mental toughness. And so that's how some of these cards are really getting to that, that grit, like determination, perseverance, just like keep going. Because we all have those moments, and sometimes people just need to hear that it's going to be okay. You got this.
Well, and let's talk about grit, because I love that word. I love grit. I love it because I want people to know that, you had a professional career. You had this huge goal in mind of 50 half and full marathons by 50. You've accomplished a lot in your life. You certainly, your son's in college and went off, and then you found yourself in this new running world and entrepreneurship.
Right.
That takes a lot of grit. It's not easy, especially these days. It's not easy to start a brand. And of course, you're coming at it as, you've got to be able to set up your e-commerce. You need to be able to be on social media. We were joking how you just got on Instagram, like when you started the company. These are things that you, just like a runner, you didn't start out running. You didn't do it all through school and then all of a sudden came back to it. You really did just have to have that grit and the determination to go through all the steps to get there, including entrepreneurship.
So the interesting thing about that is, so 3 years ago, I left corporate America. I was director of sales for a company called Renan that sold doors. So barn doors, sliding, mirror doors, doors. And things are going great. The year before, I was recognized, the year that I left in that January, I was recognized as a top salesperson for the company. So things were going great.
I believe it.
But, sometimes you have that thing in you that says, you don't feel like you're living out your true potential because of fear, right? The fear of the unknown. And so I had this idea about the cards and some other things that I wanted to do, but I was fearful of leaving a job that had a paycheck every 2 weeks that I was doing really well in, to try something different that I had no idea, what was going to happen.
You're taking on the risk.
You're taking on the risk. And I think what really kind of tipped me to really say, you know what, I have to do this is, I mentioned that, I lost my husband in 2001, and I lost both of my parents in 2016. And it was, to me, I was just like, I could leave this world tomorrow, and will I have regrets? And the answer was yes. And
perspective will come.
I said, so why be fearful? Why not take a chance? Because what is the worst that could happen? You have to go back into corporate America? That's the worst that could happen, right? That you have to go back and get a job if it doesn't work. And so I really had to just take that leap of faith and put things in place, and really, like you said, just grind and just figure out, how do I make this work? And it's been, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it's scary.
I was gonna say, how's it been?
Sometimes it's scary, and I'm like, oh my God, what are you really doing? But I think when I go back to my why, and the feeling that I get when someone tells me that, they share that, oh my gosh, I got one of your cards, and I'm like, really? Or I see the excitement. I just posted on social media this 8-year-old who finished the race, and his 5K, his first 5K, his 5K finisher card.
Yeah.
When I get excitement from people that says there's nothing in the store like this, that I can just go to Target, Walmart, Hallmark, this is to buy a card like that. That makes me feel a certain kind of way. So it gets me excited.
Absolutely.
And it just keeps me going. So that's why I asked for more feedback as far as, what are some things that you want to see on card that you don't necessarily see all the time. And the lady at the counter that bought the So Freaking Proud of You, she was buying it for someone who lost, she said, 100 pounds.
Oh yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
And so, I had this idea in my head. I said, Kim, you've been thinking about doing a card around someone who has a transformation in their physical being, right? And so I was like, I really need to get one of those. And so hearing things like that, if you hear it like more than once, or if customers say, hey, I really would like a card for something specific, and I hear it, then I'll develop it and launch it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what you're listening, and you understand that as an entrepreneur, you get to do meaningful work every single day.
Right.
It's not easy to be an entrepreneur. So we want to thank you for that. We want to thank you for being a local entrepreneur, that you are giving back to your local community just as much as you're taking on the risk to be able to do the things that you do. So thank you for that. And of course, at Omega Sports, we love local. Being a local neighborhood sports store, it was a no-brainer for us. We have runners that shop with us. We have a fantastic, beautiful, inspiring story that was shared with us. And you make these fantastic cards for folks that are achieving wonderful things that are related to movement and inspiration and positivity. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring in some cards.
I appreciate. I appreciate you guys taking a risk for me on me as well, because I do understand giving back and really just small businesses. It's hard.
Oh yeah.
And so I appreciate you.
Small businesses need to look out for small businesses.
Yeah.
We're never too big to be still a small business.
Exactly. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
More than you know.
So tell people out there, Kimberly, where, if folks are interested, sure, you can come to Mega Sports. But if people want to go and say, hey, I want to send you a message, I want to thank you, I want to learn more about you, where can they go? We saw your Instagram handle and then your website as well.
Right. So on my website, there's a contact button where you can actually send questions, or you can go to Instagram and actually hit the message. So either one of those. Okay. Or if you want to send an email, you can send it to info at soulinspireinc.com. So I will get that too. I check all of the messages. So. Yeah. And I would love to hear, any feedback, or, hey, I've been looking for cards, this, or whatever.
And I think it's important to also point out you are a hands-on owner.
Yes.
Like, I think you even said some of these you've actually just designed, you've actually drawn them, you've worked with some local artists as well. Like, you really are trying to put all of your inspiration in these cards.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Yeah.
All
so
of them
support
are
a local
my
owner.
ideas.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, support local.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so what's in the future? I know we talked previously about some runs that you had planned, but you did just recently do one for the fallen soldiers. Is that right?
Yeah.
Fallen heroes.
So there's it's called Honor and Remember Run for the Fallen, and I've ran in the one that was across all the states. It started in California, went all the way to Arlington. I did 4 days out in California.
Wow.
And that was actually pretty cool because it recognized over 20 years of fallen soldiers. And every mile we would stop and call out the fallen hero's name. And so the reason why I went out to California is because they did it by date of death. And my husband was really early because they started in 2000. And so I ran his mile.
Wonderful.
So that was really good for me. So Soul Inspire actually we have a few patriotic cards, and so we get back 15% of whatever cards that we sell for the patriotic cards to Run for the Fallen, because Run for the Fallen, it's honor and remember. What they do is everybody experiences this with grief differently, but sometimes you don't want people to forget your loved ones.
Right.
And so Run for the Fallen, make sure their name is called every mile.
Wow.
And so they have runners like myself who volunteer our time. We go on an RV. We, get out and run. I think I ran like 44 miles over 4 days. And so it's you have a lot of volunteers too who just give up their time. And so I did the one for South Carolina, and so they have another one coming up for South Carolina this year. But that organization is just really phenomenal because there are people, like I said, like myself, who we don't want our loved ones forgotten.
Right.
And so even though my husband passed 20 years ago, he is still being remembered through honor and remember. So
yeah.
I love
So you
that.
get to honor his legacy, and then the volunteers and the runners that are part of it get to honor your husband's legacy, and then all of his fellow military personnel that's given their lives as well.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
So they do it. So they do it in different states. And so I participate in the ones that are closer to where I live in Charlotte. And but they've only done the one that was across all the states. And it took years to organize that, and they streamed it. And it was when I say it was just something to remember,
I'm sure it was.
To remember.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was meaningful for all the families.
Because some family members are at that marker waiting.
Yeah.
They have posters of their family members. They have kids. They have, aunts and uncles. So it just depends on, if they can get there, and they'll let you know, we're going to say your person's name at this time, but it could be 30 minutes plus or minus. So that's why the runners, they ask that you run a certain pace because people are there.
It's that
waiting on
choreographed.
you. Yeah, it is that choreographed.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you for doing that. Thank you for honoring us with your inspiration. I'm so excited about that. I know you've got a lot of things planned for your business, for your running career, and maybe even more sharing of your story and your positivity, maybe with the Mega Sports soon.
Maybe.
So if you guys want to hear more about Kimberly Hall and her fantastic brand, Soul Inspired, I definitely encourage you, if you're tired of looking at me, you can listen to Cleo Fawcett, our head of apparel, who did a wonderful, I think, great interview with Kimberly on our Women's Only podcast, which really kind of broke everything apart for us. We were like, wow, we need to get Kimberly in here. I was interested. My whole team was like, we need to be working and doing something with you and your ability to engage and connect with communities that are out there. So we're super excited to have you now in the Mega Sports family.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. And so, of course, we want to wish you a happy 4th, a happy, safe 4th. Enjoy the beach. Enjoy that beach life. We're going to be here probably working, making sure that we take care of all of our customers who are taking advantage of our 4-on-4th Mega Flex offers. So we have 4 big offers. So make sure you check your emails, guys. I want to thank you for watching. Kimberly, thank you once again. Again, today's her debut in the Greensboro store. We're going to start seeing these cards popping up in all of our stores very, very soon. And more will be coming out to you guys about what's happening with the Mega Sports and Soul Inspired in Kimberly Hall.
Thank you.
All right, guys. You have a great weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy your 4th.
Bye.